Hello and welcome back to another Indiana Steel expansion franchise episode. So now that the trade deadline is behind us, we'll move ahead and finish off this season and see if maybe we can squeak into a playoff spot, but I highly doubt it. And like I mentioned last episode, I was going to figure out the lines and set up the scouting. Oh, so these are the lines that we're going to be looking at from here on out, barring any injuries. So Rasmussen with Bluger and Niederreiter. Second line, we still have Jackson Culp with Granlund and Josh Anderson. Third line, we're looking at Jack Roslovic, Ridley Gregg, and Jack Quinn. And to tie up the forwards, we have Tyler Johnson, Sam Gagner, and Arthur Kaliev. On defense, Keandre Miller with the brand new Justin Barron, Alexander Romanov, and Samuel Girard, and Pierre-Olivier Joseph and Cam York on the back end. With Logan Thompson now traded away, we have Jeremy Swayman still as our starter, but backing him up is Spencer Knight. In the AHL, we now gave the crease to Dustin Wolf, so we're hoping he can grow now that he's going to have the majority of the starts. With the brand new Dennis Hildeby that we traded for, running our little experiment to see if taller goalies help out in simulation. Then for our forward core, we have the newly acquired Otto Stenberg playing with Chaz Lucius and Jacob Burrow. Our waiver pickup, Mark Kastelik, Oliver Kapanen with Ludwig Seidenberg, Ibrahimov, Helmer Steiff, Lenny Hammond-Aho, Albert Schoberg, Lance Crabb, and Lucas Forsell. On defense, we have Kevin Ball with Nicolas Baudouin, Dmitry Samorukov with Thomas Harley, and to round it off, Philip Kral and Novikov. So this is our lineup to finish off the year. And then, like I said, I also set up the scouts. So I'll just show you quickly what I did. So for this scouting assessment, I decided to go skills assessment. So I pretty much uncovered everything that we can uncover when it comes to the players that we have. So as you can see here, they're pretty much all scouted 3 bars out of 4. So all the information we have right now, so we have the player style, the scouting rank, we even have a little bit of their strengths and weaknesses. But the one thing that I really wanted to go after were those skills. So as you can see right now, pretty much every player we have, the skills are not accurate at all. So I basically sent out our scouts to get all that information. And hopefully by the time we get to the draft, we have a well-rounded information about every single player that we're going to be going after. Okay, and now that all that is organized, let's jump back into simulation. And as always, we'll jump into overtimes if we do get there. I might not jump into full sim on every game. I really want to try to get to the end of this season so we can get into the nitty-gritty of the off-season and the upcoming player draft. So, first thing I'm going to do is I want to sim the entirety of March. And then we'll get into the last few games in April. So let's start it off here. Let's sim all the way up to this Buffalo Sabres game. So Nashville with a win, Arizona with another win, in Chicago, unfortunately, with a loss. And here we go. We need to replace Kevin Ball. So I'll just let the head coach replace the lineups for now. I don't think it matters much from here on out. So Anaheim, another win. So we're a little bit streaky here, a few wins, a few losses. And we're prompted here to go check out the draft class. So let's take a look, see what we're looking like here. So there is a ton of high elite players right here. So hopefully we get one of those top 3 picks. Cole Iserman. So he's a left wing playmaker. Then we have a left-right defenseman who's high elite. He's grinder style, so I think that's enforcer defenseman. And then we also have an offensive defenseman with Levshunov. There is a gem here with Korpikoski. He's a right wing sniper. So there's quite a few options in this draft so far. So hopefully we can get some of those picks and try to get those players into our lineup as soon as possible. So moving along, another win against Washington, another win against Toronto. Unfortunately, Michael Granlund just got injured. So let's go edit the lines manually because I think our options are pretty slim when it comes to available players. So let's see what we have. So out of our scratch players, so yeah, as I said, we're pretty slim. So right now, all we have is a defenseman that we can throw into the mix. So let's put him in. Let's do substitute in all lines for now. Let me see if there's someone I could possibly call up. I know I didn't want to do that, but it looks like we might need to because having a defenseman on a forward line is not going to help us. Into the roster moves. Let's check the forwards. And in the system, we have Mark Kastelik. So yeah, obviously Kastelik is the player that we can call up. So let's just do that right here. I called up Kastelik, moved him down to fourth line center, and moved up Sam Gagner to the second line forward spot to replace the injury. And let's see how this plays out. And it looks like all those moves were for nothing because Michael Granlund is already ready to return before we even played a game. So let's move Gagner back to his spot. Let's jump in here and put Granlund back into his spot. And there we go. Let's see how this turns out. All right, so we got a win against Calgary, win against Edmonton, win against Minnesota. So we've been a little bit on a streak here. And I'm getting worried we might be in a playoff spot. And it looks like we are. We are third in the Central, meaning we are in the playoffs right now. So let's see how this turns out. Let's start simulating the remaining games, and we'll jump in if we go into overtime. So simulating the first period as always, 0-0. The second, we have 3 goals this period, Zucker and Rijika. We also have Roslovic for the steal, potting one in, and simulating the third. And we tie it up in the third. Nino Niederreiter ties it up. So we're jumping into overtime. I wanted to do CPU versus CPU, but I didn't do that by accident. So it looks like we're playing out this game. So Miller up to Bluger. Bluger on the wing. Pass across. Oh, Niederreiter almost puts it in. Miller at the blue line. Coming in. Keeping possession here. Bluger, oh, not avoiding the stick check from Cooley. All right, Miller up to Niederreiter on the wing. Oh, it looks like he's going to go past him. Pass across. And Teddy Bluger with the overtime goal, giving us another win in overtime. With another win, it looks like we're solidifying our playoff spot, so 2 points ahead of the Avalanche, so it's looking good for the playoffs so far. So let's sim ahead to the next game. Here we go against the New Jersey Devils. Let's simulate the first. 0-0, simulate the second, and we have the lead. So Jack Quinn and Keandre Miller and Colin Miller on the New Jersey side for their goal. Simulating the third, and we pull off another victory. Shots a little bit skewed in New Jersey's favor, so Swayman standing on his head, getting us another victory. Up against Boston this time. Let's simulate the first. 1-0 Boston on a power play goal. And it looks like we have a loss in this one. David Pasternak and Grzelcyk making it 3-0 with 1 period left. And yeah, we couldn't come back. So Tyler Johnson saves us from getting shut out, and Geeky for Boston, giving us a 4-1 loss. Going into our last game of the season here against Carolina, we are at home. So here we go. Let's simulate the first. And it doesn't look good for us. A 4-0 lead for Carolina. Noah Sin, Kotkaniemi, Sveshnikov, and Martin Necas all scoring on Spencer Knight, who got pulled, and Swayman is now in as the backup. So simulating the second, and they keep piling it on. So Bailey and Burns, Roslovic for the steal, so it's 6-1 Hurricanes. Simulating the third, we do save face a little bit with Kaliev and Niederreiter, but a 6-3 loss to end our inaugural season here with the Indiana Steel. Just before I show you the standings for the season, let's take a look at our stats as a team. So Michael Granlund, 54 points, leading the way. 81 games, so he missed one game with that concussion. Teddy Bluger with 49 points, so he had a monster year for us, so that was really good to see. Nito Niederreiter with 46. Samuel Girard with 46. Jackson Culp, not too bad in his rookie year. Gets 21 goals, 18 assists, so doing pretty well. Josh Anderson with 39 points as well. So we had contribution from pretty much everybody on the team, which is good to see. Kastelik got all his points with Ottawa, so he didn't get a chance to see the ice. And Ridley Gregg called up to the team on the second half of the season, so 4 points for him. Valimaki didn't really get to see the ice much, 13 games, no points, but he is a +3, so not a liability on the back end. And then for the standings, as we can see here in the Central Division, Dallas Stars won the division. It was a tiebreaker with Minnesota because they both have the same amount of points, but Dallas does have those 2 extra regulation wins. We come in third here ahead of the Colorado Avalanche with 91 points, and the Colorado Avalanche rounded off in the wild card here with 87 points. If we look at the Pacific Division, we have Seattle winning this division with 100 points, Calgary Flames at 99 points, Vancouver Canucks at 95, and the Oilers in a wild card spot. And now for the Eastern Conference, let's go take a look at the Atlantic Division. So we have the Florida Panthers here at 107, Boston Bruins 103, Toronto Maple Leafs in third at 101, and the Detroit Red Wings in the wild card at 100. So every team in this division with 100+ points. That is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I've seen that in this game, so good on them. In the Metro here, Pittsburgh Penguins with 115 points. The Devils at 104, the Hurricanes at 98, and the Rangers rounding it off at 97. So for the entire league, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins winning the President's Trophy. So it looks like a lot of good teams, and we're going to have our work cut out for us in these playoffs. It's time to start the playoffs here in the Indiana Steel inaugural season. So we're going to simulate every single game. So we'll jump in and take a look. I will not jump into these games. I won't even do overtime because it's 20-minute periods, and I have the real time set at 20 minutes. So if it goes to triple overtime, I'm going to be sitting here for an hour just recording these games. So we're just going to simulate and see what happens. So for the first period here against Minnesota, we are on the road, and they open up the scoring with Dewar. So Minnesota taking a 1-0 lead in this game. So at the end of the first, 2-1, Niederreiter with our first ever playoff goal against Gustafsson. So moving on to the second. So it's 2-2. Keandre Miller tying it up for us. So it's 2-2 going into the third. And let's run through this. So Granlund is giving us the lead here, 3-2, but Culp with a shorthanded goal, Bluger with another shorthanded goal, but Minnesota finally puts one in, so it's 5-3 Indiana right now. And Granlund with another goal, so it's 6-3. We're putting up a great showing here in the playoffs. And here we go, running away with a 6-3 victory in our first ever playoff game. This is excellent work from the team. Let's move on. Jumping into the second game here, let's simulate the first. So 1-1 after one. So Gagne for us and Kaprizov for Minnesota, simulating the second. And we take the lead. Johnson gets us the lead. And now fast forwarding through the third period, hoping we can keep the lead in this one. So Minnesota on the power play. Nothing comes out of it. Maroon unfortunately ties it up, but Niederreiter gives us the lead again. 3-2 Indiana. And Niederreiter with another goal, so it's 4-2 Indiana. And it looks like we're taking a 2-0 lead in this series, and we're taking it back home. We're here at home for the third game of this playoff series. Simulating the first, still no goals after one. Simulating the second, so it's 1-1. Girard for the Steel, Boldy for the Wild, and let's fast forward the third. So Minnesota on the power play, nothing comes out of it. But Minnesota does get a goal from Kaprizov. The Steel on the power play, they can't put one in. Another power play. And unfortunately, we have our first loss of these playoffs, losing 2-1 to Minnesota at home. Let's see if we can bounce back here and take a 3-1 series lead. So let's simulate the first. 2-0 Minnesota. So Boldy again, Kaprizov again for the Wild. So these two are absolutely dominating us. I feel like every goal is coming from one of those two. Simulate the second. But we tie it up. So Rasmussen, Joseph, and Johnson. But Minnesota pots another one in. So Gaudreau for the Wild. It's 3-3. And as always, fast forwarding the third. Power play for the Steel. Power play for Minnesota. Both teams can't do anything with the power play. And Miller gets one in right before the buzzer. Gives us a 4-3 lead, and Bluger with the empty net goal to seal it. So a 5-3 victory on home ice, giving us a 3-1 lead heading back to Minnesota. Let's see if we can close this one out here with a 3-1 lead in the series. And let's simulate the first. Take a 2-1 lead. Niederreiter with 2 goals. Hartman with a power play goal for Minnesota. After 2, Niederreiter gets a hat trick, and Dewar for Minnesota keeping them in. So 3-2 for the Steel. Fast forwarding through the third. Minnesota on the power play. Can't convert. The Steel on the power play. Also can't do anything with it. And here we go, winning our first playoff series, 4-1 against Minnesota. Niederreiter making sure we're staying in this playoff hunt. 3 goals, 5 hits, had a monster of a game. Jeremy Swayman again, 2 goals against, 925 save percentage. So great showing by the team right here. After one round in these playoffs, we have Niederreiter leading the way with 7 points, 6 goals. one hat trick, so he's having an incredible series so far. Johnson, 4 points, 2 and 2. Bluger again, 2 and 2, 4 points. Rasmussen following it up. Let's see where Jackson Culp is. So Jackson Culp not doing too good. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. But he is getting shots on net with 11. So hopefully it opens up for him in this next series. And he can help us out a little bit more than he is right now. When it comes to goalies, so Swayman started all 5 games, 4 wins, 1 loss, 924 save percentage, 241 goals against. So he's doing an incredible job for us in nets. Taking a quick look at the playoff tree here. So we handle Minnesota in 5 games. Edmonton handles Dallas in 5 games. We need a game 7 between Calgary and Vancouver, but Calgary pulls away with the win. And then between Seattle and Colorado, a game 7, Colorado manages to pull off the victory there. On the other side, we have our first sweep. New Jersey swept Carolina 4-0. So I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with because Carolina, we did not have a good time against them. They were tough to play against. So looks like New Jersey might be making a run here. New York handles Pittsburgh, so President's Trophy curse apparently. And then Toronto beats Boston 4-2, and Florida beats Detroit 4-2. So we will be facing the Edmonton Oilers in our next round matchup. Jumping into this game here against Edmonton, we are starting off this series at home. So let's simulate the first. And we take a 1-0 lead. Anderson with the goal. Simming the second. We keep the lead with the Roslovic goal, but Edmonton puts one up on the board from Kulak. And fast forwarding through the third, Edmonton on the power play. Nothing comes of it. A low shooting affair here today. Looks like we might be able to hold on. And here we go. We take a 1-0 series lead against Edmonton with a 2-1 victory here in this one. Now on to the second game. Hopefully we can keep this momentum going. 1-0 after 1, so Joseph gets us on the board. 2-0 after 2, Anderson with the power play goal. And fast forwarding through the third period here. Edmonton gets on the board with Draisaitl, but we have a power play. 5-on-3 power play for a little bit here, but nothing comes of it. And Edmonton ties it up, unfortunately, with a minute left in the game. So it's 2-2 going to overtime. Indiana with a power play, a 5-on-3. Couldn't do anything with it. Looks like the momentum might be going towards Edmonton now, killing off that 5-on-3. But still nothing. So, second overtime. And Evander Kane ends it in double OT. So Edmonton ties up this series at 1. Third game of the series, we're on the road. 1-1 so far against Edmonton. So Edmonton takes a 3-0 lead in this game. So Evander Kane, Zach Hyman, and Ryan McLeod. So it's not looking good. Let's see if we can come back a little bit. Looks like it's going the other way. Corey Perry, Nugent Hopkins, 5-0 Edmonton after 2. So let's just simulate the third here. 6-0. So not a good showing for us. Game 4 of the series. Let's try to forget the game 3 that we had with a 6-0 loss. Simulate the first. 1-1. McDavid and Kaliev. Niederreiter puts another one in, so 2-1 for Indiana. And now fast forwarding through the third. Let's see if we can keep the lead. It did not last long, Evander Kane, but Niederreiter puts us back in front. Couple power plays on both sides. Granlund with a power play goal gives us the lead 4-2. And Edmonton trying to come back, but it's a little too late. Indiana with a 4-3 victory. So now it is 2-2 in these playoffs. Game 5, here we go. 0-0 after 1. 0-0 after 2. Looks like it's a goalie battle in this one. Let's see if anything can happen in the third. And obviously, Connor McDavid gives Edmonton the lead. And then followed up by 2 empty net goals. So Edmonton takes the lead 3-2 in this series. Game 6 here. Indiana Steel trying to stay alive. Edmonton leading at 3-2 in this series. And Edmonton is trying to finish it off 2-0 after 1. 4-0 after 2. And it looks like the fairy tale run is about to end for Indiana. Let's see if Indiana can try to mount a comeback, but it's not looking promising here. 4-1. Jack Quinn tries to spark a little something, but Edmonton shuts it down with a Connor Brown goal. And this is it. This is the end of the Indiana Steel playoff run, losing 4-2 in this series against Edmonton. A little bit of an improbable run for us. So I'm glad our young players got a little bit of experience. Hopefully moving on in the next seasons, we can do a little bit better than this. So this concludes it for this first season in the Indiana Steel franchise. So the New York Rangers are your Stanley Cup champions, and your Calder Cup champions are the Grand Rapids Griffins. So the AHL team did not make the playoffs, but our NHL team, the Steel, did make a little bit of a run in the playoffs. So we managed to get one round. I put a little bit of a fight up against Edmonton in the second round, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. It was good for our young prospects to get a little bit of playoff experience, and hopefully that translates into next season. But for now, this concludes it for season 1, and we'll see you next time when we jump into the draft, get our off season going, and then get us ready for season 2.